You clicked on this, and something in your chest moved. Not dramatically, not in the way that big emotional moments announce themselves. Quietly, the way hope moves when it has been buried under enough disappointment that it stopped expecting to be reached, but something found it anyway. That movement you just felt was not accidental. You were guided here today because there is something God has been trying to tell you about your love life that the noise of your past experiences and the weight of your previous disappointments have been making it very difficult for you to hear. Someone is coming. Not someone ordinary, not someone who is going to offer you a version of love that asks you to be less than you are in order to receive it. Someone who was specifically and deliberately prepared to love the exact parts of you that the people before them could not handle. The parts you learned to hide, the parts you stopped showing people after enough rejection taught you that revealing them was dangerous. The parts that are the most genuinely and authentically you, but that have consistently been the reason people chose to walk away. Those parts are not the problem. They never were. And the person God is sending is going to prove that in a way that no amount of encouragement from anyone who has never fully seen you could ever prove. Stay with me until the end of this message, because what I am going to share about why the people before walked away, what God has been doing in the season between them, and what is coming, and what the love that is on its way is actually going to look like, is going to give you something you have needed for a very long time. Hope that is grounded in truth rather than just in the desperate need to believe that love is still possible for you. Drop an amen in the comments right now if you have been through enough wrong connections to start wondering whether the right one was ever actually real. Like this video because this word needs to reach every chosen one who has been sitting in the gap between who walked away and who is coming and starting to lose faith that anyone is coming at all. And subscribe to this channel because what God is releasing in your love life in this season is something you need to be spiritually prepared to receive, and every message here was created to build exactly that preparation. Let me start with the people who walked away, because you need to understand what actually happened there before you can fully open yourself to what is coming. They were not your person. That sounds simple. It sounds like something you already know, but knowing it intellectually and being free from the weight of it emotionally are two completely different things. And I want to speak to the emotional weight today, because that is where most people are still carrying something they were never meant to keep. When someone walks away from you, when someone looks at who you are in the fullness of your personality and your depth and your particular way of loving and decides that it is not what they want, the natural human response is to locate the problem in yourself, to examine what you offered and conclude that what was offered was insufficient, to take their leaving as evidence that something about you is fundamentally unlovable in a way that the right presentation or the right adjustment or the right version of yourself could have fixed. That conclusion is wrong, and it has been costing you more than you realize. The people who walked away were not responding to a deficiency in you. They were responding to an incompatibility between who they were and who you were built to be loved by. And those are completely different things. A key that does not fit a lock is not a broken key, it is simply not the right lock. And no amount of shaving down the edges of the key is going to make it fit a lock it was never designed for. All that shaving does is damage the key and make it less able to function perfectly in the lock it was actually made for. Every person who walked away was the wrong lock.
And the shaving you did of yourself, the hiding and the adjusting and the careful presentation of a smaller version of who you are in an attempt to make yourself fit where you were never designed to fit, did not make you more lovable. It made you less available to the person who was built to receive exactly what you were hiding. The walked away was not rejection, it was redirection, away from what was wrong and toward what was always right. And the pain of it, as real and as legitimate as that pain is, was the price of the redirection, not the verdict on your worth. Now let me tell you what God has been doing in the season between the ones who left and the one who is coming, because this part is going to reframe the waiting completely. He has been healing what the wrong connections damaged. Every wrong connection leaves something behind, not just memories, patterns, ways of protecting yourself that made sense in the context of the person who hurt you, but that would become walls between you and the person who was coming if they were not addressed before the right connection arrived. Reflexes of withdrawal that developed as survival mechanisms, but that would read as unavailability to someone who was genuinely trying to reach you. Wounds that closed on the surface but were never properly healed underneath, and that would have been reopened and infected by the intimacy of a genuine connection before they were ready. God has been doing the healing work in this season, not just surface healing, deep healing, the kind that addresses the root of the patterns, not just the symptoms of them, the kind that requires the specific quietness of a season without romantic distraction, so that what needs to be seen can be seen, and what needs to be addressed can be addressed without the complication of navigating it in the middle of a relationship. The healing that has been happening in this season is not separate from the preparation for love. It is the preparation for love, because the person who is coming deserves to find you whole, not perfect, whole. And the difference between those two things is the difference between someone who is still bleeding from old wounds and someone who carries scars that have been properly healed and that tell a story of survival rather than ongoing damage. He has been preparing them at the same time he has been preparing you. This is the part that chosen ones rarely think about in the waiting season. The focus tends to be entirely on the self, on what I need to do, what I need to heal, what I need to become before love arrives. But the person who is coming has their own preparation happening in their own season, their own healing, their own removal of wrong connections, their own stripping away of what did not belong, so that what does belong can be properly recognized and properly received. You are both being prepared simultaneously in separate seasons that will intersect at exactly the right moment, when both of you have been brought to the level of wholeness and readiness that the connection between you requires to be sustained at the depth it was designed to reach. The timing of when you meet is not arbitrary. It is the precise moment when both preparations are complete enough for what is between you to have the foundation it needs to be everything it was designed to be. He has been showing you what you actually need versus what you thought you wanted. The wrong connections were revealing, not just in the ways they hurt, but in the clarity they produced over time about what genuine love actually requires and what it actually looks like when it is real. Before the wrong connections, you had a picture of love that was built largely from what you had seen in others and what you had absorbed from a culture that tends to confuse intensity for depth and chemistry for compatibility. The wrong connections dismantled that picture piece by piece, and in its place, something more honest and more specific has been growing, a deeper knowing of what you actually need from a partner, what actually sustains you versus what just attracts you initially, what you are actually compatible with at the level of values and purpose and the particular way you move through the world. That knowing is one of the most valuable things you are going to bring into the right connection, because you are no longer going to mistake the wrong thing for the right one. Your discernment has been sharpened by exactly the experiences that felt most like failure.
Drop an amen in the comments right now if God has been using your wrong connections to show you exactly what the right one needs to look like. Now let me tell you about the person who is coming, because this is what you clicked for, and I want you to receive it fully. They are going to love your depth. The very thing that overwhelmed the people who were not right for you, the intensity with which you feel things, the seriousness with which you take love, the depth you bring to connection that casual people found exhausting, is going to be the thing that this person was specifically waiting for. They have been in their own wrong connections with people who could not meet them at the level they needed to be met. They know what it feels like to be too much for someone who was not built to handle everything they carry. And when they find you, when they encounter someone who does not flinch at depth but moves toward it, it is going to feel like coming home to a place they have been looking for their entire life. They are going to see what others missed. The parts of you that people walked away from were not invisible to everyone. They were invisible to people who were not built with the eyes to see their value. The person who is coming has those eyes. They were given them through their own journey, their own experiences of being misunderstood, their own seasons of being loved poorly by people who could not see what they were actually offering. What others looked at in you and walked away from, this person is going to look at and choose deliberately, consistently, not in the honeymoon energy of new connection, but in the settled daily decision of someone who genuinely sees you and keeps choosing what they see. They are going to stay. This is perhaps the most important thing. After everyone who left, after every connection that felt promising and then dissolved, after every season of wondering if staying was something you were simply not going to get to experience, someone is coming who was built for exactly that. For staying, for choosing you not just on the days when loving you is easy, but on the days when it requires something, for being the presence that does not disappear when things get complicated, or when your depth becomes more apparent, or when the parts of you that you learned to hide finally trust them enough to come out into the open. They are going to make the waiting make sense. Not immediately, not in a single dramatic moment of connection that erases everything that came before it, but over time, in the slow, beautiful accumulation of days with someone who was worth every hard season that preceded them. You are going to look back at the people who walked away and understand for the first time, not just intellectually, but in your bones, why every single one of them had to leave, why the timing of their leaving was mercy even when it felt like devastation, why God's protection in those moments looked like loss, but was actually the clearing of a path toward the person who was always the destination. Father, I come before you on behalf of every chosen one who has loved and lost enough times to start quietly wondering if love was simply not part of what was written over their life. Every beloved soul who has been hiding the parts of themselves that kept driving people away without understanding that those parts were never the problem. I thank you that the person you were sending is real, that the preparation happening on both sides of this divine connection is real, that the timing being set for their intersection is real and precise and orchestrated with the same care and intentionality that you bring to everything you design. I declare that every wall built from old wounds is coming down, that every pattern developed for survival in the wrong connections is being dismantled before the right one arrives, that every part that was hidden out of fear of rejection is being healed
into something that can finally be offered freely to someone who was built to receive it with both hands. I declare that the love that is coming is unlike anything that came before it, that it arrives with depth and with staying power and with the specific quality of being seen fully and chosen completely, that every chosen one was always meant to experience. It is coming. It was always coming, and it is going to be worth every single moment of the waiting. In Jesus' mighty name, amen. Someone is coming who will love the parts of you that everyone else walked away from, not despite those parts, because of them, because those parts, the depth and the intensity and the particular and beautiful way you love were never too much. They were simply too much for the wrong people, and the wrong people leaving was always the path being cleared for the right one to arrive. Stop hiding what makes you you. Stop shrinking the parts that got you hurt before. Stop offering people an edited version of yourself designed to be easier to love, because the person who is coming does not need easy. They need real, and real is exactly what you have always been. The wait has a purpose, the preparation has a destination, and the destination is a love that was built specifically for everything you are. It is coming, beloved, and when it arrives, you will know. Like this video if this word found you exactly where you needed it today. Share it with someone who has been through enough wrong connections to start losing faith in the right one, and drop an amen in the comments if you are choosing today to stop hiding the parts of yourself that were always meant to be loved and start making space for the person who was built to love them. They are coming, and they are going to stay.